Ahoy there, mates. Welcome aboard the VHS Pirate Ship. I'm Captain Adam, and welcome to the show and tell that treats you well. It's Captain Adam's Show and Tell. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and discuss some tapes and show you some of the things in my collection. I'm very glad you're here, and I'm glad to be here too. I hope you're doing well out there. I hope everything is just peachy keen for you, and maybe it's not. Maybe you got some turmoil going on. Maybe you got some crap going on, for lack of a better term. Well, I want you to know that everything always turns around. Everything always moves onward, and everything's going to be all right. And I want you to know that everything is a cog in the wheel of the greater plan and action, and God's got a plan for you. You just need to trust in that. He's looking out for you, and also you got to believe that there's people behind the scenes rooting for you, cheering for you, praying for you. Hey, I'm one of them. I'm here for you. This is your old buddy Captain Adam reminding you to please stay positive in all things and look onward and upward. Keep the faith and put your trust in God and look to Jesus Christ, and everything is going to be all right. You can trust me 100% on that. I'm not just blowing smoke. I really mean that, and I encourage you to give it a chance, give it a shot. So yeah, just go for it. I want you to be well and do well, and so I do hope everything is going just swimmingly for you out there. So yes, thank you very much for joining me for part 2 of my RCA Columbia Home Video collection. Hopefully you called it part 1. In that I explain why exactly the RCA Columbia Home Video collection, the early ones at least, of the 80s, are one of my favorite VHS home video distributors, just because I just like how they look. They're very uniform design. The fact that one side of the spine is this uniform RCA font, and the other side is the actual logo from the movie, so you can choose how you wish to display them on your shelf, and I always go with the RCA font side because it just looks so nice in uniform. It makes you look like you have a legit video library because, well, you do. It just makes it look very, very nice. Just look how nice they look all together there. Isn't that great? And that one I did, we had some pretty powerful titles. In that one I had No Holds Barred, I had Stripes, I had Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and what was the one? Real Genius. And this one, there is some pretty powerful titles, but there's also some movies here I don't necessarily care for very much. But as I explained in part 1, I do just collect these because I like how they look, and hopefully one day I'll have every single one of them. I know it's sort of insane to want to have something you don't even like, because I want to have the tape, if it's an early RCA Columbia Home Video release, I want to have it regardless if I like the movie or not. I just like how they look on my shelf. I am all about shelf aesthetic. I think it's a pretty fun thing. And truly nothing in this world gives me more pleasure than seeing a very neatly organized tape shelf. It just makes me very happy, just like you make me happy. Again, I'm very happy that you're here. Before we get started today, I'd like to give some shout outs. First of all, I am back doing live streams with the mighty Rob from Rob's Vintage Video here on YouTube. I will have a link to his channel in the description of this video. I encourage you to subscribe to Rob. He's a very fun channel. If you're into VHS culture, you'll certainly dig his material, and you'll certainly dig his live streams because, well, I'm on them. Yes, it's Friday night tape talk with Rob and the Captain right here on YouTube on Rob's Vintage Video, over at Rob's Vintage Video, I should say. Look for the link in the description. Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time here in the U.S. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to be doing live streams with him again, and it's also very it's delightful that the people that because if you didn't know, we did live streams a while ago, but we took about a year hiatus, and we did a bunch of live streams about last year, and there's a certain group of people that always checked in and hung out with us, and it's nice that these same people are back with us. So it's happy to I'm very happy for that. I'm happy that they enjoy the show and enjoy our conversations, and they chime in with some pretty clever things, some pretty good questions, some pretty good points, and it's always good to hear from them. And the one person that always chimes in is Larry, Horror Cat Dad. Big shout out to Horror Cat Dad. I know I've talked about his channel on this show before, but definitely if you're into like show and tell videos, unboxing videos, if you're into them, you might be if you're watching this show, be it since it's a show and tell video. But Horror Cat Dad, I should say, does very excellent, nice little videos about unboxing mainly NECA figures, like the action figures. I guess they're collectible figures because they're really fancy. And I couldn't imagine a kid playing with a Vincent Price figure, but or any of the other figures they make. Yeah, NECA's a really good company, very detailed figure, very nicely done figures, and Horror Cat Dad certainly has a great time showing you what he gets, and it's good stuff. And he had just dropped a new video with a new haul for some figures and some physical media. I haven't been able to watch the whole video yet, Larry, but I will. Rest assured, by the time you watch this video, if you're watching right now, I would have watched the entirety of that new video you put out. And in that new video, he teases the NECA Vincent Price figure. He just kind of shows you the box, but he is going to do a short video about the Vincent Price figure. The figure looks really nice. I'm looking forward to that one. And it is funny, I should say, that the NECA stuff, they usually release like characters, right? Like, Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Elvira, stuff like that. But with Vince, I think it's cool that Vincent Price is such an icon that he doesn't even have to be a character. He's just Vincent Price. He's saying he got his own figure because Vincent Price is just so cool and so classy, so iconic. He doesn't have to be anybody else. He's just Vincent Price. So there's a Vincent Price figure from NECA. Looking forward to watching that video. So yeah, definitely subscribe to Horror Cat Dad. If you're wondering why he's called that, well, only he can tell you that, but I can tell you the cat part, he does do some videos about his cats. So if you like unboxing videos about really cool action figures and some videos about cats, you're really going to like his channel. So please subscribe to Horror Cat Dad. Look for the link in the description of this video. Another shout out to Gareth over there at Video Tasties over there in the UK across the pond. Always appreciate you, buddy. He is it's a great channel, fun stuff all around, not just VHS stuff, but everything, basically 80s pop culture. A very retrospective channel, does a lot of watch-alongs where you can chime in and talk about the film, whatever film he's watching, and it's always a good time. Lots of high-spirited fun over at Video Tasties for his live streams, and I always appreciate he does these shorts where it's a Wales video store, and they're always fun. You just have to watch them. So yeah, look for his link in the description. And please subscribe to Video Tasties. He is a good time. And of course, I really always have to mention the great Professor Macabro here on YouTube. Again, the link for his channel will be in the description. Professor Macabro, just a really fun guy. He is like a super villain that's not a villain. He's just super. He's a great guy, fun guy, always very supportive of other channels, and he does a lot of like haul videos, mainly DVDs, like a lot of horror stuff. He's very fun to watch around Halloween because he is all about Halloween, loves him some spooky stuff, and has plenty of videos for spooky stuff hauls, and it's a fun time. A great guy, like I said, very supportive. So please support him. Subscribe to his channel. I think you're going to really get a kick out of it. And speaking of supportive guys, another big shout out to Anthony Chabot. I do wish you would tell me how you pronounce your name. I don't know if it's Chabot or Chabot. I don't know, Anthony, but please let me know sometime. Chime in on a live stream once, like you always do. You're very supportive of both Rob and myself and other channels that I mentioned. Very supportive guy, fun guy. Also a very fun channel. Certainly subscribe to him. Link will be in the description, and he'll probably comment on this video. I hope he does. He always does. I'm always happy to hear from you, Anthony. And yeah, he's just a very. If you're into VHS, which you probably are if you're watching this, you'll like Anthony Chabot or Chabot, however you pronounce it. Let me know sometime, buddy. Okay. And of course, always the very supportive Joshua Cook. He always chimes in on the live streams. Always chimes in on these videos as well in the comments. I hope he does. If you're watching, Josh, thank you very much for your support, and also everybody out there, subscribe to Joshua Cook. I think it's HRR. I'm not sure, but if he comments on this video, the link will be right there. So definitely check him out. Does a lot of VHS haul videos. He has a lot more luck nowadays finding VHS in thrift stores than I do, or really anybody I talk to does, because the VHS pool in thrift stores has certainly dried up, and he seems to have a pretty good time with it. So he is still tapping into a VHS vein when it comes to thrift stores. So be sure to check his channel out. He has a lot of fun VHS haul videos and opening videos and all this. So yes, definitely check out all these channels. And with that out of the way, I think it's about time we started up with part 2 of my RCA home video collection. A lot of fun titles in this one. Let's go. First up, we have a phenomenal film, impactful film, a film you really can't talk about 80s movies without bringing this one up. The Karate Kid. Oh man, what a nostalgic piece of art this film is. I mean, just reeks of 80s. It's just such an 80s movie. Just what a great film. You know, what can I really say about this? It's such an iconic movie. Everybody's seen it. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, first of all, welcome to planet Earth. And, you know, I hope you get your act together and watch this movie immediately. Yeah, I mean, really, what can I say about this film? This particular VHS here, the first VHS release, it's got the the side flap thing where you have to open. It's not a normal slip sleeve. It's a box, like a lot of the early RCA Columbia Home videos were. And of course, other distributors did that style packaging as well. The tape there didn't look too good, did it? But yeah, certainly just very, very happy to have this. I've had this for a very, very long time. I found this at a thrift store probably about 16 years ago, back when thrift stores actually had VHS where I frequent. So yeah, I used to have this huge just wall filled with VHS, each for $0.25, and they had some just great titles in there. And I found this one, and just absolutely had to have it. I love having this movie. It just looks so great. Look how nostalgic that looks. Just because it's the Karate Kid for one, and for two, it's in this just most excellent, just reeking of 1980s video packaging. It's just terrific. And this one is a 1985 distribution, so it is the first VHS distribution of the Karate Kid. You know, I always gauge excuse me, I always gauge an 80s movie by their arcade scenes. There's always an arcade scene. And well, mostly there's an arcade scene in 80s movies, and that's how I really gauge how 80s an 80s movie is. And this one, of course, has a great arcade in it. I wish a place like that existed around here, where all the games actually worked. I mean, I should just say that you know, I don't know if I miss arcades, because there are some like these trendy arcades anymore. But you know, a lot of games just don't work, or you have to pay to get this card that they charge up, and you can't just put a quarter in the machine like you used to. You have to give them money like you're at a casino, you know, paying for chips. But it's you have to put this card in to be able to play the game. It's just not the same. You know, I realize this. I don't think I miss arcades. I think I just miss being young. That's what I think it comes down to, and I think that's a pretty deep way to think about it. The same way with you know, if you miss video stores, I just think you miss being young, because if you were to revisit them, it just wouldn't be the same, because the memories are just better than reality, and I think that's just how it should be. But yeah, great arcade in this movie. Karate Kid has a great arcade in it. I certainly wish that existed where I grew up. I had some pretty decent arcades where I grew up, so I really can't say that, but this was like a really huge arcade. So yeah, I always gauge an 80s movie by the arcade scene. There usually always is one. So, and this one is a very 80s. Yeah, certainly love the Karate Kid. Always watch it when it comes on TV. I've seen it a billion times. I always, you know, I always get nervous. It's like, is Johnny and is Daniel going to win this time? It's funny how that works. The same way when I watch Rocky IV, I always wonder. I was like, man, is Rocky going to lose? You know, even though I know, it's just funny how these movies really get your emotional fluids going, and you know, it's funny stuff. So yeah, Karate Kid, happy to have this, and you certainly cannot have the Karate Kid without Karate Kid Part 2. I found this the same day I found the Karate Kid, right beside it at the same thrift store, on the same shelf. It was just great. And obviously it came from the same collection of whomever donated it, and that's what's always fun too. You can always tell, well, you used to, when thrift stores actually had VHS, you could always tell that the same person donated a certain amount of tapes, because we're all just sort of same milieu. Like when I used to be able to find horror movies or sci-fi movies in thrift stores, I remember it just seemed like they were all from the same person. Like, you can just tell, like, they were the same kind of taste in movies, and so that's always fun to see what people were into. Of course, that's long ago. I will always lament the fall of VHS thrifting, just because it just seems like it just really has dropped off. And you used to be able to just see, what people liked, what their taste in films were, according to their collections that they donated. It was a fun time. And of course, you could always tell like who was the fisherman in the family, because they usually you find a lot of like fishing instructional VHS, or like bass fishing championships or something like that. And you usually find you find them in groups. There's always like a couple of them on the thrift store shelves. And that's usually if a store does have tapes, it's usually just that kind of stuff anymore. So it's all right. It's all right. This is a 1986 RCA Columbia Home Video release, the first VHS distribution of Karate Kid Part 2. Now, where are you at on Karate Kid Part 2? It does seem to be one of those sequels where it absolutely holds up to the first movie, if not a little bit superior to the first movie. I tend to enjoy, I like both of them, but I have to say, I think Karate Kid Part 2 obviously has more moving parts to it, and I think it's just a little bit more expansive as far as a film goes. But, I think, I would say, I don't know. I say it breaks even with the first one. I want to say it's better than the first one, but I just want to say it breaks even. Now, of course, you can't say the same for Karate Kid Part 3. I don't have that one in my VHS collection, and I'm fine with that. For some reason, that one just sort of just fell off the map. It really doesn't connect the way these first two films do. It's something I call the third movie curse, and I do talk about that in other videos I've done in the past, where it just seems like if there is a second sequel, that one is always just going to be a bit rubbish. Really, there really is no two ways around that. It just seems like that is the average, that third movies are always, I would say 90% of the time awful. And of course, the Karate Kid Part 3, I believe, falls into that unfortunate category. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you like Karate Kid Part 3. I don't know. We're not talking about Karate Kid Part 3 right now. We're talking about Karate Kid Part 2. So yes, now it's time for audience participation. Chime in on the comments. What do you think of Karate Kid Part 2? Did you like it better than the original, better than the first movie? Do you think it breaks even, or do you not like Karate Kid Part 2? Let me know in the comments below. This is another closed box sleeve. I guess you can't even call it a sleeve. It's just, it's a box. RCA did this, like I said, in the first Part 1 of this show and tell series for the RCA Columbia Home Video. Some of them did this style box, and some of them just did normal slip sleeves. There really doesn't seem to be any method to that madness. Maybe there is, I don't know, but it seems like there are tapes that came out in the same year, and some of them have slip sleeves, some of them have these closed boxes. I just don't know what the logic is there, or maybe they just decided not to do it for all of them. I'm not really entirely sure, but it is pretty neat, because you sometimes can find dual distributions of the same film. One does have the slip sleeve, and one does have the closed box, and it seems a little weird, but that's what they did. So maybe it had to do with whatever factory it was manufactured in. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Karate Kid Part 2. Absolutely happy to have this in my collection. Certainly looks good right beside Karate Kid the Karate Kid. I just love to have these. These are two films I think are just quintessential for any VHS collection. They're just very, very important films throughout all of cinematography, all of the cinematic landscape. The Karate Kid, even the Karate Kid Part 3. I mean, it had to come around, you know what I mean? Like, it's a trilogy. I guess you could say it's more of a saga, because then there was the next Karate Kid. I don't know if that really tied into the first three films or not. I know Daniel-san wasn't in it. Daniel wasn't in it, but I know Mr. Miyagi was. I think I saw it once, and I really could care less about it. I mean, like I said, like I always say, I don't like to be negative, but my goodness, sometimes you got to know when to put a film franchise to bed, and that is that. And so, hey, let's move on. So let's go with an 80s film that's very much unlike the Karate Kid films, with Bulletproof, the Gary Busey classic. Now, maybe you haven't seen this film, maybe you've never heard of this film, but I certainly encourage you if you haven't seen it. I certainly encourage you to watch this at least once. It's not a good film. Again, I don't like to be negative, but it is one of those films where it's just, I guess you could say so bad it's good. I don't even know if I want to say that, because it is enjoyable just because it's bonkers, insane, and that is absolutely 100% because of Gary Busey, who is the starring role in this film. And, you watch this film, and he did another one called Eye of the Tiger, where he was the main hero, the main actor, the top billing. He had like the top role, and then I guess you could say he wasn't a supporting actor, which Gary Busey normally was. And you kind of, once you watch those two films, you kind of understand why Gary Busey didn't really do more leading roles in films, because you could say he's too much to handle at that high of a dose. He really is. His persona, doesn't matter what character he plays. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I'm saying he's one of those actors where he is himself in everything he plays, because he just acts. He's a Looney Tune. He's terrific. And but as far as him in a leading role, I think that's just a little too much of a good thing. And I think he does better when he's in a supporting role. So yeah, Bulletproof. Basically, it's sort of a revenge flick, and of course, so is Eye of the Tiger. I don't have Eye of the Tiger, but yeah, Bulletproof. I don't know. You'd have to see it. I mean, on the back of the box here, you can see he's driving this weird futuristic tank, and it's just this film is bonkers. It really is. I would recommend watching it at least once. Like I said, don't expect any kind of cinematic masterpiece as far as any kind of Academy Awards standards go. It's not that engaging of a film. It is a film. I'll end it there. It's a film. You should watch it at least once. You probably won't enjoy it as a film. You'll enjoy it for Gary Busey's performance, if that makes sense. And if you watch this film, that's going to make perfect sense. Yeah, definitely check out Bulletproof. I'm happy to have this one. Didn't find this at a thrift store. Had to seek this out. This was a salt and bought. Wasn't too expensive. They're pretty easy to find. They go. I think the average, at least when I bought this, was under 15. So I'm sure it's probably less now, or it might be a little higher. I don't know. eBay's fees have gotten a little bit outrageous, and of course, sellers have adapted their prices to cover that steep percentage that eBay takes from every sale. So I'm sure, like everything, prices have risen, and eBay is no exception. But yeah, definitely check out Bulletproof. If you got, I think it's about an hour and a half. If you got an hour and a half to kill, you definitely check out Bulletproof. Well, I don't want to say you're not going to be disappointed. You might be disappointed in the film, but you will not be disappointed in Gary Busey. So definitely check out Bulletproof. I love having this in my collection, even though I'm not too big of a fan of this film, but I am a pretty good Gary Busey fan. So, and if you are, definitely check out Bulletproof. And while you're at it, check out Eye of the Tiger as well. That is just as insane of a movie. I think I like Eye of the Tiger a little better than Bulletproof. But once you see those two movies, you're going to be like, well, that's sort of a hard thing to say which one you would like better. Perhaps it's easier to say which one you liked least. But yeah, check out Bulletproof. Happy to have this in my VHS collection. And let's continue. Yes, let's move on to a John Candy classic, or at least that's considered one, with Armed and Dangerous. Now, I got to tell you, I do sort of like this film, but it's not my favorite John Candy movie. It's not even really on the top 5 favorite John Candy films, even though this one is rather iconic as far as John Candy films go. But I don't know. I watched this recently, and it just, I don't know. It kind of falls flat a little bit. It's decent. It's watchable. It's as you can see there, this is the Columbia TriStar home video, and as we talked about in part 1, 1991 is where RCA sort of bailed out of the Columbia partnership, and it was just Columbia TriStar home video. So if you have any of these that have that Columbia TriStar logo on it, despite what the tape or the sleeve says, this is a 91 or higher or older or younger. I don't know how you put it. It's at least a 91 distribution. So it could say 88 all at once, but it's a 91 just because of that logo. So yeah, sometimes, dates on tapes, the years on tapes aren't always accurate. For the most part, they are, but there are these little tricksy buggers that do this kind of stuff. So, yeah, 1991. This is a 1991 distribution of Armed and Dangerous. I am a John Candy fan, but certainly, I mean, when you think of stuff like Uncle Buck, The Great Outdoors, movies like that, and you're like, okay, well, this one, I don't know where this one really falls compared to those John Candy performances. It's not his performance, it's just the movie. It just, I don't know, it just, it just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, I enjoy it. Of course, I had to pick this one up. This tape is in gorgeous condition. Just a lovely, lovely tape. Always love finding them in such decent condition like this. So yeah, Armed and Dangerous, definitely John Candy classic, though I don't really consider it. Well, I should say this, and this is where it might be a little confusing. A movie can be a classic, but it doesn't have to be that good, if that makes any sense. A movie can be a classic if it's like really, really memorable, iconic. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into a movie becoming a classic, and it doesn't always have to be a decent film. There's plenty of examples like that. But yeah, Armed and Dangerous, it's not my favorite John Candy film, but I still love having this. Of course, it's a movie that you just sort of have to have, and I think this is a bit of a common thrift store find, or at least it was. So yeah, because that's where I found this one, and I know I found other distributions of this other copies of the same distribution as well on thrift store shelves. But a lot of times my code is when I find duplicates, when I find, even though my first instinct is, I should get it, even though I already have it. But there's a code of ethics there. I like to leave it behind for other collectors to have it, because it's not really fair of me to scoop up every VHS that's on a shelf, especially if I already have it back on the ship. So it's like, I leave them for other VHS collectors, and I encourage you to do the same, because the circle always must be complete, and it's just nice to pass it along to somebody else. So if you see a tape you already have, leave it for the next guy or next person to buy, because there's always that emerging VHS collector that probably needed that for their collection, and you greedily took it up even though you already have 2 copies of that. Now, I'm very guilty of that when it comes to Terminator 2, the Carol Co. first distribution. For some reason, I have 5 of them, and it's most certainly because every time I see it, I get it, and I really had to keep myself from doing that. So I put the kibosh on that practice. So now I implement this code of ethics amongst all. I think all VHS pirates should do is leave it for the next guy. You know what I mean? It's like leaving. Like when Mikey in the Goonies, when Mikey left that share for One-Eyed Willie, the share of the gold for One-Eyed Willie, and it turns out it was a booby trap. So yeah, you never know. That other copy of Armed and Dangerous you just had to have might be booby trapped to a big boulder dropping down from the ceiling and killing you. So just keep that in mind next time you want to Bogart tapes. If you already have it, don't get it. Now, of course, if it's in better condition than the one you already have, I guess that's acceptable. But for the most part, though, yeah, just leave it lay if you already have it. So anyway, that's my more you know message. So yeah, okay. So there, Armed and Dangerous. Don't like the film too much, but happy to have it. And you're going to notice this is a theme, because there's a couple films coming up I don't like, but I like having. So, hey, let's move on. There is one genre of film I don't really discuss all that much, and that's Westerns. Here we have Silverado, a rather, it's not a modern Western. That doesn't make any sense, but it was made in, I think, 87, maybe late 80s. That's what I mean by modern. Silverado, here's the thing about Westerns. I used to like them, but, recently I just kind of find that most of them are just really, really depressing, because usually the same thing happens where, the hero's there. Usually, most of the times the hero dies, or if not the hero dies, it's someone that a character you get really attached to. They die. There's always some kind of tragedy involved with a Western. It's what it seems to me, at least. And, I'm just kind of at that point in life where I don't like particularly watching films that really bring me down. I don't need that. And so Silverado, I watched it once, but I'll be danged if I really remember too much about it. And I probably won't watch this again, just based on my newfound bias against Westerns. Now, Other than that, other than my emotional distress associated with westerns, I really had no problem with the genre. I think a lot of them are very well done. Like I said, I used to like westerns. I'm just at a point in my life now where I really don't care for westerns too much. This is interesting because I think it's one of Kevin Costner's first major roles, because Kevin Costner is in this, as well as Danny Glover. Definitely excellent cast in this, but yeah, I might watch this again just out of curiosity, but I'm pretty sure it's going to bring me down. So yeah, definitely. But I am glad to have this, and especially considering the story, how I got this was funny. I got this at a church bazaar. This was the only VHS tape they had. So, I was like, okay, well, I got to get this. And, yeah, when it comes to like thrifting and yard selling and stuff, never sleep on a church bazaar. If you see like somebody's having a church bazaar or like a church swap meet or garage sale, rummage sale, definitely check it out, because it is just basically a yard sale, and the proceeds typically go to like a local charity. And with local charities, that the funds will actually get to the charity. They don't go to some CEO. So yeah, it's definitely something you want to support, and check them out, because you never know what you're going to find there. You find a lot of interesting stuff. This was one of them. Certainly had to get it. This was one I got just because it's an RCA Columbia Home Video. As we know by now, I'm insane, and I buy stuff that I don't like just because it's RCA Columbia Home Video, because I need to have all of them. This is a perfect example of that. Really didn't want it, but it was like the only VHS they had, and it's RCA Columbia Home Video, so I just had to have it. So there's a story there, and of course it's got a closed box, one of the closed box ones. Yeah, Silverado. I'm not really going to go too much more into this, so let's just get going. How about another classic film that it might make you angry to know that I don't like? Easy Rider. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Easy Rider. It's mainly because I'm not into it. I'm not into the motorcycle culture. Never have been. It's just not for me. I'm not saying it's not a fine film. It is. I know it's an iconic film. Like I said before, it's a classic film, but I don't have to like a film to regard it as a classic. This is certainly a classic and an impactful film, a very important film in cinematic history. Certainly there. This is a 1987 distribution, or at least I think it is. I have to see what the logo says. The logo will tell you all, like I mentioned earlier, if it's a Columbia TriStar Home Video logo, it is not what the tape says it is, what year the tape says it is. It's a 91 or higher. So, yeah, Easy Rider. I'm not a big fan of Peter Fonda. Of course, I'm a fan of Jack Nicholson. But he's not exactly in this all that much. At least not enough for my liking. Yeah, Easy Rider, not my favorite film. It also does this thing where, I've noticed this about like 70s filmmaking. There's a style about 70s filmmaking I don't particularly care for, and that is it's very, very plotting and very, very slow paced. There's a lot of films that are like this that I just don't like it. It makes, to me, I know it was fine when it came out. I know, people really dug it. They really got into the pacing when it came out. But to me, like, watching it now is a lot different to say if I would have first seen it when it first came out, like if I was at that generation. So there is a generational thing there that I'm just not able to get, and that's fine. Some people like stuff, some people don't like stuff. It doesn't mean it's not a good movie. I just don't like it. That's the problem with opinions and how people view people's opinions anymore. Just because somebody says they don't like something doesn't mean it's like absolute crap. It just means that they do not like the film. It's their opinion. They might think it's crap. Doesn't mean it is crap. So that's just what it is. And they might think it's great. Doesn't mean it is great. That's just how opinions go. And my opinion is on this film, do not like Easy Rider, just because why would I? I'm not into motorcycles. I've seen this movie quite a few times. I've given it a chance, and I don't like the concept. I don't like the subject matter. I'm not into the subject matter. I'm also not a fan of this era filmmaking. That's very slow, plotting. It's also like Cool Hand Luke. You're going to be mad to know that I don't like Cool Hand Luke. I liked Cool Hand Luke when I first saw it in psychology class in high school for some reason. I did like it back then, but for some reason I watched it last summer, and I didn't like it. It was like, this is kind of dull, and I don't know why that is, but a lot of 70s films do that. That's just what they did back then. It was fine back then. To me now, though, not so much. So yeah, Easy Rider, another one I had to get because it's just an RCA Columbia Home Video, VHS. And though this one looks like this one is a Columbia TriStar home video, so technically it's not an RCA Columbia home video, but as I discussed in part 1 of this RCA home video adventure, it doesn't matter really. It matters to an extent, but they're basically the same thing. Because they kept the same sleeve design and sleeve layout and all that stuff. They just changed the name because RCA had dropped out. So this is obviously a 1991 distribution, even though it looks earlier. It's not. They just decided to keep the same layout design and everything when they made the name change, and they would eventually just go with like a normal layout. They wouldn't do the uniform border thing with the uniform fonts and all that. They would stop doing that. I guess, I don't know, maybe 92, 93. I'm not entirely sure, but so Easy Rider, not a good film for me. I don't particularly care for it, but I am happy to have this in my VHS collection. Most certainly a tremendous part of my RCA home video collection, even though it's not technically RCA home video, it's Columbia TriStar home video. That being said, let's get going. Yes, let's switch gears here from a movie I didn't particularly care for to one I just flat out didn't like at all, with Anatomy of a Murder. Sounds pretty neat, huh? Sounds pretty interesting. Well, it's not. I hate to be negative, like you know, but this movie is just, oh man, just dull is the word. I got this, well, first of all, I got it just because it's the RCA Columbia Home Video, and we all know how I feel about them. But I got this thinking it was a film noir kind of thing. But, I mean, technically it is because it's a black and white film. But that's just the technical definition. But the spiritual and metaphoric definition for film noir, this is not, because it's not a detective film. It's not a crime film. Well, I guess it's a crime film, but it has to do with lawyers, and like they go fishing and they're trying to plan a murder, and it's so dull that it's just really hard to follow. Of course, this is a Jimmy Stewart movie. Jimmy Stewart is typically good in everything he's in, but this one he just kind of seemed like he didn't want to be in the movie either. Anatomy of a Murder, not a good film, not in my opinion at least. Just really, really dull. And there's this weird thing with the sound where the dialogue is really, really quiet. It was recorded really, 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 really quiet. But the music, the background music, is extremely loud. So you have to turn it up to hear what they're saying, because you do need to hear what they're saying. It is pretty important. But then the music blasts you in the face, and it's like this freeform 1950s acid jazz, which typically I don't have a problem with. But when I'm trying to hear dialogue, it is really, really annoying because you're trying to really pay attention to what they're saying, and the next thing you know, you're getting hit in the face with acid sacks. So it's kind of makes for a unpleasant experience watching this film. Definitely not on my watch again list. I kind of wish I had the time back. It's just a really slow film, not what I call a good movie. It's just my opinion. Maybe you like it, maybe you've never seen it. I don't know, but just my opinion is it was really, really dull, and the sound really ruined it for me. I definitely had to have it though, because it is an RCA Columbia Home Video VHS, and it's in the closed box. This is a 1987 distribution. Found this at a thrift store a long time ago, actually, probably about 7 years ago. Just had to have it. Just thought it was interesting. It was interesting looking enough for me to buy it, just to watch it, but then I watched it and regretted it immediately. Definitely had to have this because of what it is. Don't like the movie whatsoever, but I am happy to have this as part of my RCA Columbia Home Video family. So let's move on. So let's go from a movie I didn't like whatsoever to a movie I've never seen yet. Haven't seen this one yet. Band of the Hand. I got this one, 12 years ago, 15 years ago maybe. Definitely one of my first acquisitions for the RCA Columbia Home Video Library. I got it basically because I just wanted to know what it was, and I have yet to really figure that out. It's a 1986 distribution, ex-rental copy there, as you can see the little category stickers, whatever they mean. Only the store knew what that meant, but here we know what this means. There's the price, $79.95. This was mid-80s pricing for VHS. That is the price you paid if the tape was damaged. or if you flat out wanted to buy it, you always could do that from a rental store, at least most of them. But you had to pay what they paid for it, which would be $79.95. Yeah, Band of the Hand. It says it's from the makers of Miami Vice. It appears to be some little crime-fighting team. Yeah, Band of the Hand. I gotta eventually. I gotta take the plunge and watch this, because there is a chance that it is really, really awful, really, really boring, or just really, really poorly done. Because my rule is, I've never heard of this film. I've never heard about it, never heard anybody talk about it, never see it. And my rule is, if a film isn't heard of, there is a 90% chance there's a good reason for that, and that reason is it's just not very good, or it's boring. That's my little code I live by, and most of the time it is the truth, and that is what I find out when I do finally take the plunge and watch a movie I've never heard of, or it's never been talked about that much. And I'm just immensely disappointed, and I really regret my decision. So I'm always weary about movies I've never heard of. Now, the opposite is also true. The pendulum does swing both ways in that regard, because sometimes the movie is really good and leaves me wondering, why isn't this film talked about more than it is? But that is a very, very slim margin, and the ratio is in favor of the movie not being good. So I am a little cautious to watch this, but I have to watch this. I have to put this mystery to rest and find out what this movie is about. Bought it basically because I wanted to know just what it was, because the title was so strange. Band of the Hand. I gotta know what's going on there. So it looks like a fun kind of 80s crime fighting movie. There's a Ferrari in it. Looks like that's always a key recipe, a key ingredient to the recipe for a cool 80s movie is a Ferrari. So, yeah, good old Testarossa there. Definitely gotta watch this, I guess, and then I'll get back to you. I'll have a full report on your desk by Monday morning. Yeah, so the case is in a very good condition. Of course, those category stickers certainly ruin it. Those things are basically spot welded on there. They've been on there so long, the adhesive has merged with the material. So yeah, the sticker and the substrate are now one entity, and if I were to try to remove it, it would just completely destroy it. So I don't really want to do that. I'm fine with them being on there. Yeah, Band of the Hand, very odd name. I gotta find out about this movie. So yeah, you chime in on the comments below. Now it's time for audience participation once again. Have you ever seen this movie? Have you ever heard of Band of the Hand? If you've seen it, do you like it? Will I like it? Do you think it's worth my time? Let me know in the comments below. Well, I'll tell you what, we are really going on here. This is a very, very long video. I didn't want it to be this long, but I knew it was going to be quite a mission when I started to show off my RCA Columbia Home video collection. I'm going to have to add a part 3 to this, because I still have a nice handful to get to, and a handful of some pretty killer titles. So I'm going to have to call it quits on this one and pick it up with part 3. So please stay tuned for part 3 of the Captain Adams Show and Tell RCA Columbia Home video collection. Well, that's going to about do it for today. I really appreciate you joining me. It's always nice to talk to you. It's always nice to talk tapes and all kinds of other stuff. This here's your old buddy Captain Adam, reminding you to stay positive. Keep the face. Keep the face. Yeah, keep your face as well. Let me start that over again. This is your old buddy Captain Adam, reminding you to stay positive, keep the faith, and look onward and upward, and trust in God and look to Jesus Christ, and everything is going to be all right. You can take that to the bank and smoke it. That is for sure. It is a guarantee. So please keep going in whatever you're doing, and just stay positive, stay focused, press, pray, and know that there are people out there rooting for you, cheering for you, praying for you. Hey, I'm one of them. I'm here for you. I want you to do well. I want you to be well. So please be generous, be kind, and be brave, and take care out there. And I'll see you next time, only on Captain Adams' VHS Pirate Ship. Goodbye, and God bless.